Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my theory tuition series where I'll work with you step by step through the ABRSM theory grades. We're working our way through. We've nearly completed grade 2 ABRSM theory. So if you want to grab your music theory and practice workbook, and we'll resume our studies there. So you'll need to access that. And then if you go to sharonbill.com, there's loads of resources available to help you there on my website. There's some free PDF information sheets, look like this. They're available in US letter or A4 and they'll accompany each step of this series. There's also a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can also find information about the books that I have available. If it is that you're working towards your ABRS exam and you're going to sit the exam paper, I've written a book, How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory Exam, and it's got tips and techniques on how to best prepare for the exam and also how to best make use of that exam time once you're sitting the paper. And so if you go to sharonbill.com, it's all there for you. If you can give me a like, that would be fab, that would be encouraging to me. And if you can subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's loads more in store. I'm really enjoying this. I absolutely love music theory and I hope that that's catching. I hope that you're enjoying this too. And so let's press on to section H. So if you turn to your PDF document, and if you turn to section H, you'll see that we're now revisiting the subject of composing simple 4-bar rhythms, the same as we did in grade 1. If you turn in your booklet to page 23, there's just a little bit of a paragraph at the bottom of that page to start this subject. So I'll refer to that as section H. And then there's quite a lot of blurb over the next few pages. If we just skip ahead briefly to page 27, you'll see that the only difference between grade 1 and grade 2 is we're still required to complete a 4-bar rhythm, but this time we're only given 1 bar. We need to compose 3 bars rather than in grade 1 you compose 2. So in effect what that means, we're going to have to compose the end of the question phrase before we then complete the answer phrase. Let's just now quickly work through these previous pages. So if we just turn to page 24, and I do suggest that you perhaps just take a moment to read through the PDF document and this page here on page 24. So just press pause and have a glance through that so you're aware of the subject that we're looking at. So there are lots of ways of composing interesting and well-balanced music. A composer, however, has 2 things at their disposal. They have rhythm and they also have pitch. And we only have rhythm, so we're restricted in that. Oftentimes, a composer will use exactly the same rhythms in the 2-bar sections. However, we can't do that because we can't just do a straight copy. Actually, that's not quite the same, sorry, that one is, because we haven't got pitch to help us. This piece of music, dum da 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 dum 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 da 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 dum dum dum, is made interesting by the fact that the pitch changes. We can't do that because we're restricted to the rhythm only, and so what we need to do is add little changes. And so it is the same. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And so again, they've got the same rhythm but changing pitch. So what we need to do is just sort of add a few little changes to the rhythm so that it doesn't sound boring. We're always thinking of creating something that sounds musically connected. We don't want the first 2 bars to then be completely different material and sound totally unrelated to the next 2 bars. And so what happens is we usually find that there are little changes now and then. There's lots of different ways that we can do that. And if we turn to page 25, they give us some examples of how that can be achieved. We don't want a boring, simple end to the music, but neither do we want it to sound so ridiculously unrelated that it doesn't make any musical sense at all. And there's lots of different ways that we can do that. You can see how they show. Sometimes we change certain aspects. We start in the same way. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I always find that this is the best way if we start our question and our answer in the same way, and then we change the ending of each little phrase. And so here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And so it sounds musically cohesive without being too dull. Of course, there's the alternative of ending each section the same way, and so our question, 2 bars, has the same ending as our answer, 2 bars. Oftentimes, single bars are repeated, but that isn't really a plan for us in this exercise because not many marks would be allocated for saying the same thing 3 times. Now, it's worth just suggesting that although this isn't part of the exam anymore, once the exam session starts in 2018, this will no longer be on the exam paper, so we don't need to laboriously work through this. However, it's a vital part of music theory, and I do suggest that you still give this some attention because it's a foundational skill that will help you in many other aspects, and it will certainly be foundational should you go on to the more advanced grades after grade 5. So let's just turn over the page and look at the exercise that makes use of all of that information. So page 26, exercise 1, they've asked us to add brackets to show any rhythmic repetitions, just to show how the rhythmic balance works in each of these exercises. So for example, this bar and this bar are different, but this bar and this bar have the same rhythm, so we just bracket those 2. I'll just look at this one here with you. You can see at a glance, this bar and this bar have the same rhythm. The pitch is lower, but the rhythm is exactly the same. 1 1/2, half, 1 1, 1 1/2, half, 1 1. These 2 bars do not. Again, this is my template that I suggest for any composition. So I'll leave you to just have a quick peep through that page. It shouldn't take you too long. Just glance through and just note down any rhythmic repetitions. Press pause, have a go, and then come back to me and we'll just check that together. And so let's quickly glance through and see which rhythms are repeated in each exercise. So bars 1, 2 and 3 all have the same rhythm, although the pitch changes in exercise B. Let's look at the next one. So we've got 1, 2 and 3, 4, rest. That's the same as 1, 2 and 3, 4, rest. However, if you'll notice, 1 and 2 and 3, rest. 1 and 2 and 3, rest are the same. So I'm going to show that they are the same there. So you can see that those 2 and those 2 work together. Let's have a look at this one, the next one. I don't think there are any repetitions in this one. Nope, so there's no similarities there that we can mark. So there's no brackets there because every bar has an entirely different rhythm. Let's look at this next one. Okay, so here there's a lot of rhythmic repetition. We've got half, half, 1, 1. Half, half, 1, 1. Half, half, 1, 1. There we go. Now here, that distinctive tie helps us to find it quickly. 1 and 2, tie, and there we go. 1 and 2, tie, and beat. So they're the same, and then it changes. 1, 1 1/2, half. We've got 1 1/2, that's different then, isn't it? Here, however, half, half, 1, rest. half, half, one, rest. So those have the endings the same. Okay, so all of that is by way of introduction to exercise 2. And again, I've said that it doesn't come up on the exam paper, but I do suggest that you just give this a little bit of attention because it's a really important foundational skill. Just pop to your document, your PDF sheet H, and you'll see some examples that I've given you just before we get started. The most important parts are, of course, each bar must have the correct number of beats. And of course they must be correctly grouped based on everything we've done in the previous video. So here, there is our question phrase of 2 bars, and then here is our answer phrase of 2 bars. And so let's just tap that out, counting 3 beats per bar. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3. That's a well-balanced musical rhythmic phrase. Whereas here, although this is accurate, it's kind of boring. It's very repetitive and it doesn't make a lot of musical sense. It's just filling in the maths with not much musical thought. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And so there's not a great deal of musical fluidity here, really. It just kind of gets the job done. By the same token, this one goes to the opposite extreme where it's ridiculously busy, and this composed 3 bars here makes no musical sense with their opening. I'll just tap that out. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. I'll do that again. I lost count. Let's try that again. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now notice there's even too many beats there. There should only be 3. All of these semiquavers or 16th notes make no sense at all. There's no rhythmic cohesion at all. So although it's correctly beamed, correctly written, and actually that's incorrect, it makes no musical sense. We're looking for a balanced phrase here. And so long as it's correctly beamed and there's the correct number of beats per bar, there are many opportunities here. There's no one particular answer. And so what I will do is I'll just work through a couple of these with you, and then really it's just a matter of trying a few and getting a feel for it. So we'll just work through. I'll just choose a random couple. Now I think this one is a tricky one. So we'll look at exercise B together. We want 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we want to finish on something that's no shorter than 1 beat. If you finish on a half a beat or a quarter of a beat, you feel like you've dropped off the end. So we need at least a 1 beat. We could finish on a 2 beat or even a 3 beat. Now I suggest we begin our answer phrase straight away. However, there's not a great deal of beats per bar, so I'm not going to just write a crotchet or a quarter note. I'm going to just change that a little bit. And then I'm going to finish the exercise by just alternating those 2 notes. So far we've got 1, 2, 3 something. 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. So we've just got this bar here. So I think we'll just have 1, 2 and 3. I'm not using lots of busy rhythms because it wouldn't be appropriate to this here. There are no quavers or semiquavers. There's no 8th or 16th notes, and so there's no point me putting lots of busy rhythms in here because it just wouldn't make musical sense. Let's try this one, which is a little bit busier. Now we know in 3/8 we can compose quavers and semiquavers, or 8th notes and 16th notes, because that's a 1 beat now. They are half beats, and we can also remember that everything is beamed together. So let's just map out bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4. Now I think straight off the bat I want to end on just a 1 beat. You could have added a crotchet or a quarter note, which would now be with 2 quaver beats. That would be quite a long finish. You could have chosen to end like that as well. That's another alternative. Don't know why I keep doing that. There we go. So the ending is 1, 2 and 3. Alternatively, the ending could be 1, 2, 3. However, I'm going to start it the same. However, I think I may not copy this bar exactly, because I don't think that I like the fact that I've completely copied a bar. So I think what I'll do, I'll begin with 2 semis or 2 16th notes, but then I'll leave these as single quavers or 8th notes. I'll just tidy that up though, that went very wonky. Shall I use a ruler just to be sure? Okay. And I think this bar I'm just going to keep relatively simple. Now you could just write 3 straight quavers, 1, 2, 3, but I think I'm just going to just liven it up a bit by making the rhythms a little bit uneven. 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3. I think that works. That's okay. If they've given you a tie, by all means use the tie in the same way. If they use a triplet, by all means include a triplet. And so really the opportunity is endless here. There are loads and loads of different variations and permutations. Just make sure that everything's correctly grouped, you've got the correct number of beats per bar, and don't end on anything shorter than a 1 beat unit. Bearing in mind that that unit could change from minim beats or half notes, crotchet beats or quarter notes, or quaver beats, 8th notes. I hope that's been helpful to you. This is the sort of exercise where really there is no end, and so I shall just leave that with you and you can experiment to your heart's delight. If you can give me a like, that would be really encouraging. Please do go to sharonbale.com. There's lots of help there available to you in those PDFs and lots of other video tutorials. Subscribe to my channel so you keep updated, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.